Welcome to another Kyle High Club episode. And as usual, I've got a very special guest with me. I've got Anton the man, Mier today sitting here with me. He's in Pretoria and I'm in Cape Town, but welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kyle. Yeah, Anton the man. I don't hear that much in English. It sounds like I've got a bit of an attitude if you said Anton the man.
Should I just revise the enunciation to Anton the man?
Yeah, then it sounds a bit better. But yeah, in Afrikaans, Mier man, I'm getting still used to that because that's the newest name. I was under Anton the man for a couple of years, like many years, more than 10 years. So I'm very familiar with it.
So that's basically just a play on words of your name. That's how it came to be.
Exactly, 100%. That's in English. It sounds like an attitude. In Afrikaans, it just Mier man speaks a little bit more about humility, about that imposter syndrome that kicks in, and you just have to tell it, just back off. I'm doing the business right now. I am Anton the man. So do not feel intimidated by any situation.
How did you first receive that nickname then? Was it received as a humble nickname, or how did you first receive Anton the man as a nickname?
Anton the man, I thought it out. So it's definitely not anybody that assigned it to me. Therefore, the tendency to be more like an attitude or I'm the boss, but it's not that. I just saw Ant and then on, and if you continue the sentence, the man just sounded great. So therefore, more like a pun, and on the man.
How did that transform into a whole entire philosophy surrounding humility and imposter syndrome?
That was when I started writing poetry in Afrikaans, and I wrote under the name for many years, or I just had the name, the Google account, AKA Griffel. Anton Coetzer Griffel is a old, it doesn't even exist anymore, an Afrikaans word for to write. But the moment I started writing, and I thought, yes, who's going to pronounce AC Griffel in English? Let's try that. AC Griffel, and it just sounded incredibly wrong.
AC Griffel.
And therefore, I just decided, just go Anton the man, Mier man. It runs both ways. It's easy. So all my things that I write on Instagram, that'll be Mier man. But anything I publish, anything of my work in calligraphy or anything like that, that's under AC Griffel. So I decided to stick with the difficult route, or actually made it more difficult, and added from AC Griffel, went to Anton the man, and then kept AC Griffel. So I think everybody's going to be confused at the end of the day, but they'll catch on.
Why did you have to feel that you have to write under a pseudonym? You were talking about imposter syndrome. Does this need for a pseudonym have anything to do with that?
No, but I just love the name AC Griffel. It's all my favorite. AC Griffel just sounds amazing. The word Griffel my briefie liefde. I mean, just write me a small poem about love. That just, Griffel inspires so much. So therefore I just kept it. But I think it was just a moment of thinking, maybe this is too difficult. Let's go Anton the man or Mier man. And which also, I think in hindsight, adds great character to whatever I'm writing. So I'm happy with it. I'll stick with it. Even in hindsight, I'll still go with Anton the man and AC Griffel and continue.
The word Griffel is both cute and powerful at the same time. You know, Griffel is like, Griffel, itsy. But it's also a powerful word because it's got very strong vowels. Griffel, it's got very strong vowels.
Yes, and the moment you said it's also cute, I'm like, Griffel. And then suddenly it sounded cute. Griffel. Yeah. I mean, I can griffel my wife a love letter at night. Well, I actually wrote a small little letter this morning and left it in the tea bag pot. So hopefully by now she discovered that I haven't received any messages, but we'll see how that goes.
Or if she didn't by accident drink it.
I think she would have drink the note. It'll be in her mind and in her stomach. She'll have butterflies, and I'll know why. It's because of the love note. You drank the love note.
That's it. Now that you mentioned Griffel, it's got the untrained ear. Like, for instance, my wife is American, and sometimes she says our language sounds very, very harsh,
Yeah,
greffel, and it's
I've
such a
also
cute
heard that.
word. It's a very cute word, but if you think about it, it's very powerful at the same time because I always see the word griffel as like a permanent indentation, like when you write on your desk at school, your name
Yes.
or Kyle was here or whatever, you griffel something. I always had a connotation to it being permanent with that word.
And that sound, I mean, just imagine sound for one moment. I wrote poems for an art exhibition last year and that's actually where we met when I went to Stellenbosch. But there's
Yes.
another art exhibition in Bloemfontein, 21st of April, so I'm going there as well. And their theme is fluister or whisper. And in this, I just started focusing on the sound and writing. And there's two instances. The one sound I've heard already, and that's the sound of a pencil on paper. I mean, that soft scratchiness. I mean, that's just one of my favorite sounds. But then something I imagined, and I don't know whether they have a recorder that can record it, it'll be great, is the sound of a tear running over your cheek. I mean, if we could catch that sound, just record it and amplify it and listen it. I mean, that thing would silence me for days. I don't know whether you thought about recording specific type of sound that would be amazing to hear. But for me, a teardrop running over a cheek would be just next level. And griffel captures that sound or the potential of an unheard sound that is actually epic and amazing and would just silence crowds.
I've never actually really thought about recording something that's so quiet that will make a big impact. And now that you say, if you could record the sound a tear makes over your cheek, I mean, that's as quiet as that is, and like you say, that's such a powerful sound if you know what it is. If you listen to something, if you say this is a tear on someone's cheek, but now let's take that same tear and that sound. So if you close your eyes and you hear the sound, and I tell you that's the sound of a tear of joy versus a tear of sadness, does that
Yes.
change the dynamic of the sound?
Um, It might, because yesterday I saw a video, and I know whether you also saw it. A guy poured water in a jar, and he added the label on the jar, love, and then he froze it. And the molecules froze differently to the jar that read hate. So every single time he labeled the jar and then looked at all the form of the crystalline water when it froze, and every single time it looked different. But this thing, the sound of a tear, if the tear has a source of sadness or joy, evaluating the sound is something that I'm very intrigued in finding out whether there would be a difference, or whether
Well,
maybe people just hear it differently.
I'm thinking about it in a like taking cymatics into account. Like, sure, different sounds has got the impact it has on matter as a whole. We can discuss cymatics as a whole, but what I was thinking about was our imaginations are very powerful. Like if I tell you, here's a piece of paper, and you have this piece of paper in your hand, and I tell you that piece of paper's name is Stephen.
Yeah.
No, that same piece of paper changes because it's got a name now. And
Yes.
I was just thinking, if you play that sound, it can be the same sound. If you tell people to close their eyes, that soft sound can resonate volumes with however you feel at the current point of state. If I tell you it's a happy tear versus a sad tear, I think your own imagination will be able to tell a story above and beyond that, and it's something as simple as a tear.
I mean, just imagine you tell them that tear's running over a cheek, and this is Cindy's tear of joy for seeing her father for the first time in 16 years. I mean, imagine, immediately everybody will be just like, this is an
Wow.
amazing sound.
Or this
And
tear is a child in Syria, say, looking at its war-torn
Yes.
country, and that's where this tear, specific tear.
Name it, write a story, and they will donate.
So,
What's the thing? Adopt a tear, like adopt a whale or something. People can adopt a tear.
imagine you can take that specific tear that you heard, and you can freeze it, and you can sell it along with the audio wave.
Yeah, but remember, then you buy the tear of the sound wave that you've adopted. You adopt that tear. Just not during load shedding, please. You will lose the tear. Shucks. I mean, there's a whole scheme, and there's probably people that will jump on the bandwagon and definitely make $1 million out of this. But I think you have to be heartless to do this.
This podcast was brought to you by Adopt a Tear.
What? And then you have an auction. Oh, no, sorry. See, now this is where things get crazy, because the moment you have an auction of all the rich and famous and everybody buy a tear because the money is donated towards the orphan. I mean, that's just...
It's crazy.
That's the wrong side of the track, but I have not foreseen this conversation moving this far towards...
Adopting tears.
But
But
what did you do today? I had an ethically challenging conversation.
I adopted a tear off of Brad Pitt's cheek that while he was eating cornflakes in the morning. That's what I did this morning.
You'll be able to market that, Nat.
Soon we are gonna have to copyright this before someone else does this.
I do content and copywriting, so I'll probably just have to do this after this conversation.
Exactly.
So
it's interesting that you talk about, imagery and imagination. I used to do a writing workshop with Jaco van der Merwe called Weaving with Words.
Yeah.
Right? And he had like this workshop to basically just showcase different mannerisms of how progressive thinking works and different mediums of how to think creatively and how to make use of words creatively, what blackout poems were, and he told us who Maria Popova was and all of those things. It was a very wonderful workshop. It was a 4-week workshop. I did 2 of those workshops, so great it was.
Shucks.
One of them, the first one, spanned over 4 weeks, and we went once a week. We went to Open Window, and he did this thing where, you know how in art you have like this model that you can paint?
Yeah.
So
you mean a model? There's somebody sitting there.
Someone's sitting there, and then you paint that model, yeah. He had that where he had someone to come and sit there, and we had to write a story about this person. No backstory, no indication what it is. Just, here is a person. Write a story about this person. And I thought that was probably the most amazing thing that I've witnessed in my life. And that's why I told you about tear, like if you give the tear context, it changes the tear dynamic. And
yes,
that was just a blank canvas of a human being just sitting there, and you can write whatever, like the way the person sit there, what is this person thinking, was he on the bus, what's happening? And I thought that is a really creative way of thinking, and you can implement that with anything. You can look at a car or a tree or any person in a park for that matter. And that was probably one of the biggest things that sparked my creativity when it comes to writing.
That's an amazing concept. And if you think about it, the only truth you have about that person is what you observe and what you perceive about what you observe. Did you ever read back your stories to each other?
No, we didn't. We could if we wanted to. Swap our stories. I didn't go to Open Window as a student, so I didn't really know a lot of people. So I just was an outsider, just chilled there. But I read back, coincidentally, my story the other day, because I journal a lot and I keep everything in my journals, and it's quite nice to read through all my journals. And I read this story, and I didn't know where did this come from? About this guy who's sitting on a bus, who looked very sad. He just came from a job interview, and he don't know if he made it. He doesn't have enough money to pay for rent that month, and all of that. And I'm like, who the hell is this that I wrote about? And then I remember, oh wow, this is that writing workshop. And yeah, and I think ever since then, I started seeing the world. And this is not just an ordinary lamp. This is not a pair of sunglasses. This is not an ordinary tree, you know? And I've always wondered, when did we lose that childlike sense of wonder for the world? And when do we become like older people and just forgot how to just use our imaginations?
See, these are things that fascinate me, and I get very quiet because then my mind drifts to all the possibilities, maybe what could have been, and all the reasons why you wrote what you wrote. And that's what intrigues me, is it's why you wrote what you wrote. I have a couple of books, and one of them I bought while I was in Stellenbosch, in one of the botanical gardens, one of the bookshops, is the Sprakke met Skrywers, conversation with other writers, and it's writers of the 60s and 70s. And it's not the stories that they wrote, it's just finding out how they think. And this story, for example, just observing somebody sitting made me think, because I read, and even now in any Occam, he writes, and a lot of people say, you write out of life experience, because if life doesn't happen, you can't write. Let me just wait a minute, then you can edit that out.
Okay.
Sorry, just one moment. Hello? No, I'm just in a meeting. Yes. Okay. Thanks, Lizzie. No. Okay, Lizzie, thanks. Okay, bye. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay, so I was under observation of life. Sorry, now I just have to quickly backtrack where I was with his discussion. Where you have to observe life to be able to write. But I've been thinking, because one of the other writers also said, he writes prophetically, in the sense of he interprets current circumstances into what it will play out in the future. And if you write with that model, with what you view, it's always interesting to me, the point of view that a writer would take, that any person would take when observing anything. Is it out of this is interpreted from the past, or this is rather a revelation of what will come in the future? I mean, it's two separate Well, I just enjoy thinking about it, because it's two separate angles of approaching any, you can say, challenge, or any task that you have to do, any writing piece that you have to do, any piece of music that you're going to play or create. The angle of approach, and that to me is extremely it's interesting to find out why people think how they think. So I don't know whether you've thought about it, the angle of approach of writing, because even in that piece, I mean, you said that guy in a bus, but he was actually on a chair, right?
Yeah.
And
I was sitting in a chair, yeah.
Did you observe from the past your experiences where you think you would have been, or I don't know, it's maybe there's a different angle. It's like painting. I can paint a picture, and I can write a picture and write a story that I'm thinking of, or I can scratch around until I reveal what I think this would be, or what this is speaking into the future. And that might be what Van Gogh did when he painted, because he was way ahead of his time. People didn't understand, so I think he was rather portraying what this could be in the future instead of what it is in the past. And that's actually the type of writing or type of projects, things that I want to be involved in, is more things that not only reflects on the past, but shines into the future and say, this is what we're going to do. And then, it's I think switch on by examples like that in that writing workshop that you did. Who did you say presented that workshop?
Jaco van der Merwe, the lead singer of Bitter Einde.
Shucks, I must. if I Google him, I'll probably find something, information or something on him.
Yeah, he's Betrander is a 3-piece band consisting of Jaco van der Merwe, Peach van Pletsen, and Louis Minnaar. It's Afrikaans band, yeah. And Jaco van der Merwe teaches film at Open Window, and he basically did this as a little side project of his, and he taught us about how he writes lyrics for the band, how he writes scripts for film and everything. And he's very passionate about writing, and he comes from a very long background. He showed us some of his seminal texts. He's influenced by Zach De La Rosa when he started rapping as a kid. Called himself Ajax. He had a little band going from he's always been making music, and slowly but surely, he got more and more creative. He's such an amazingly creative individual, and that's why I went for another one, because I just wanted to soak as much inspiration I could from him, because
Of course.
I've always wrote for me, and I'll just briefly touch on that before I forget what I was going to ask you. But I always wrote for me, and I never expect anyone to listen to what I had to say. Always, all of my poems was just things that I wanted to get out for myself. I had no intent for anyone else to read it. And after this, my first course with him, he said, well, he's having like a spoken word open mic at Open Window called Tongstoei. And he invited everybody who was in the class to it. And at first, when I got on stage, and I'm generally not someone who's scared to speak openly in public to people. I'm not scared of public speaking, but reading things that's not meant for anyone else's ears out in public, I was shivering. I was literally shivering. I was stuttering, and I was so nervous, because this is deep-seated personal things that I wrote with just for me, and now I'm reading it out for everyone else to hear. And after that, I got more and more comfortable with, making my words public. And as you know, I even made a little spoken word poetry band with my friend Ludwig. And what I wanted to ask you is, do you write with the intent that someone else is going to read it?
No, there's not. There's in some cases when I start writing, I feel, yes, this can be great, like spoken poetry, like raakspraak, like me and Ludwig also call it. But no, in general, everything is written. I would not say that I write anything personal that I would not rather hide from people or rather keep it close. Everything I write out of revelation, if I can say that. I think about certain aspects, I meditate on it, and then as the topic or whatever is revealed in this, and there's a message coming from it, that I would write, and that's for the purpose of others. Then there are certain aspects or times that I have experiences and receive or have this revelation that I will not share with any person. And there's a couple of those that's there, just because of it's sacred things. It is epic, and I don't want to hand it out, because then it's away, then it's gone, then I don't have it anymore, and I'll rather cherish it and just keep that present closed. It's like probably never opening a Christmas present, but I still have it for myself. But other than that, there's nothing really that I write, or any personal issues that I write through that I did not intend. Maybe in the beginning of Mirupiman, there's here and there's a small little tagline, even an ant, selfs 'n muur trap spore iewers in die stof. It's even an ant. What's it? Steps.
Even an ant leaves
in the dust.
Even an ant leaves tracks.
Or leaves
tracks in the dust.
Yes, somewhere in the dust. So that's something, and that poem was a rather personal one, that I did not intend anybody else to, or for me to speak it out in public, but they could definitely read it. yeah, when I think about it, there's not really any personal things or anything that's really in my poetry, or even in the things I write. And it's light-hearted, all the poetry things. But the moment I write a short story, there's heart-wrenching stuff that I include in there that is 100% the opposite of the poems I write. And my wife just tells me, you cannot publish this. You cannot have this out there. This is too dark. Write something else. And I'm like, no, because I love playing on the hardcore, deepest, broken emotions of a person. And not really playing on it, but bringing it to the surface, and out of that, let the story happen.
Well,
So that's
there's a,
basically a bit
I
of
mean,
background on what I write.
for instance, that little present that you keep for yourself, I'm sure there are some that you write where you're like, you know what, I don't care if anyone opens this, you know? And my writing has changed significantly because I initially started writing as, when I first started picking up a pen to paper, my grandma died, who was really, really close to me. And I
Yeah,
lived in Cape Town and she lived in Pretoria. And I grew up with her my whole entire life. And I basically just instantly moved to Cape Town and she died like a month later. So I
shucks.
couldn't go back to Pretoria because I didn't have money. I was in grade 8. But my grandfather said, write her a poem and then I'll make sure she gets it, you know, on a casket or whatever.
Yeah,
And eventually my grandfather managed to round up some money from a bunch of family members and he got me to fly down. And he told me, go read what you said. You already wrote the poem, right? So why don't you go read it for your grandma in front of everyone in the church? And
yeah,
at first I thought that was such an intense thing to say. Like, go and read your poem. You know, my grandfather is very old school. You know, you just
yeah,
wrote this poem and you're not going to let everyone else read it. You know, that's how and I intended it to like be something that he just put on a casket and that's it. You know, that's why I intended it. And reading that in
yeah.
front of people, that's where it's kind of like the birth of this little world, you know, because everybody afterwards said, wow, that really moved me. And I was like 13 years old. And some family members who I never speak to also came over and said that really moved me. And I still to this day don't know what that poem was because I left it on a casket. But ever since then, when I came back to Cape Town, I started writing and more writing. And after that workshop and being able to read my poems to people and for them to hear, my writing kind of changed because I developed like a third person view of my writing where, okay, but what if someone reads this? So
Yes.
I used to write for, this is my poetry book, no one gets in here. But after that, knowing that, well, I can actually read this and it's fine, I developed a third person thinking where, listen, these might be read by someone. And so my writing style changed. I don't know if you've ever experienced a little penny drop moment like that.
And yeah, there was one specific time when one of the big revelations of poetry came to me. There's a guy, die dronken dichter.
Oh, yeah?
He, he wrote a poem which inspired me tremendously. So I wrote a poem, and I thought, yes, this is one of the best ones I've ever written. It's also one of the ones that's negative. It also ends negative because it's about a broken heart. And afterwards, he told me the words and said, well, this is a great copy of mine. He used 3 Afrikaans words, which I cannot remember now. The transparant was one of them. But he basically said it's a copy. And in that moment, I realized that there's a vast difference between somebody who just starts writing and somebody who actually writes poetry. I mean, that guy he writes poetry, not for the sake of people, not hiding, not trying to put phrases into nice words that make sense. He just writes it for the love of poetry. And it brought this realization. And I think that happened the same, or a similar experience with your suddenly reading a poem in front of everybody at your grandma's funeral. There's this moment when you put your heart out for everything and you're challenged. And you push beyond the place where you find yourself, usually. That's when these moments happen. And yes, that point would be one of those great moments that I'll always remember and say, there's something changed. There's a moment where I no longer want to write just, Anton is going to write a poem. And I want to discover and grab out of everything that's around me a revelation, something that's coming that's beyond me. That's what I want to write. Otherwise, I just give everybody parts of me, and I wouldn't say that I'm the most fun guy. I'm just boring. But if I write that, that's my life mission, to write other things than what is inside me. And that, I think, it's a mission, and I'm looking for that. I'm searching for that. I think that's where true poets dwell. True writers really find themselves in that different realm, or that different mindset of writing. But they do come with confrontation, I would say, in one sense, confronting yourself, your own sanity, your own comfort, and pushing beyond that. The moment that you push beyond it, you're going to reach new heights. And I won't say we love that moments, huh? I mean, it wasn't the greatest on-the-spot experience you probably had.
No.
But that's the ones that changes.
No, but it wasn't at the moment the greatest experience ever. But speaking to you now, it is probably one of the greatest experiences I've had. You know,
when you look back at it and you can remember it, yeah.
It, like most things, if you go through hardship or if you go through anything as a season, right? And experiencing something for the first time is very overwhelming and new, and you don't know what the outcome might be because you're literally experiencing something for the first time for yourself, you know? And you won't know, like you say, you know, you won't be able to predict what the future may hold for that situation or that scenario that you are in. And I feel like most of my hardships and troubles and trials and tribulations that I've been through in my life, I'm very thankful for, because if it wasn't for any one of those, it wouldn't have felt like I have lived, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It feels like I've learned and I've lived and I've done and I've experienced. If I didn't experience that, I wouldn't have continued, right? I wouldn't, if, as bad as it might sound, if my grandma didn't die at that point, if I didn't have to write that poem and if I didn't read it out, I wouldn't have been as creative as I am right now. You know, I would have been an engineer or whatever. I can't say that, but I'm thankful for what has happened because it's opened up doors for me and it's opened up a creative thinking. I'm not saying successful doors. What I'm talking about is the way I live my life, the way I see things, the way I experience life, the way I still feel like I need to create. I mean, you feel you need to create, you need to pinpoint, you need to write down, you need to post your stuff, you need to be creative, because it's, for me personally, I don't know about you, but for me personally, it's about creating a community. And that community is by people resonating by the stupid things that I blurt out from my head, from this podcast to whatever I do. There are people that resonate with it and relate with it, and that by that community were people knowing that they aren't alone. And if I feel, you know, whatever I felt, if I can change some people's lives to continuously try and create and make something with their lives, even though it is something small and insignificant to most, but it brings you personal joy, I want to be part of that.
And that, to me, is also one of the amazing things. The moment you started talking this last little bit, and I kept on thinking about a sentence that I read last week. Sometimes somebody famous said this. They said, if you do not have purpose, you waste time. And I realized, yeah, If I think of those nights, just go home after work, have dinner, get the kids in bed, and then watch a movie. But the last year, I mean, there's no more wasting time. There's actual purpose, and you want to bring change. There's things we want to achieve, and now I realize. I don't know about you, but life is. I cannot say it's getting shorter because I don't know when it's going to end. But life is short. I really have to start and accomplish a couple of things that I've only been thinking about. And I think there's those two scenarios. The one is you do something brand new, go and do cliff diving or whatever, something new. The other thing is reveal something that's been hidden, that you've been hidden, and that's the coming out and speaking or reading a poem or something like that. It's those vivid moments that change lives.
But
We definitely need more of those.
well, life is getting shorter. We have this tiny little window of life. The planet has been here for literally millions of years,
Millions.
and it's been there since the beginning of our concept of time, and we have this between 0 to 100 year window that we get to experience life. If you just have to think about it, all of the possible amounts of people that could have lived, from a single cell, all of those cells that could have made life and didn't, and then you are the life that has there. Just being alive is such a whimsical, wonderful, amazing gift. How are we going to spend it,
Yes.
And Richard Branson once said, brave men will live forever, cautious men will not live at all. And you talk about purpose, and we all feel motivated, purpose-driven life and whatever, but what do you think is having a purpose? What's your concept of having purpose in life?
For me, that's something that drives you, something that you think about that makes you want to live longer and be busy. That one concept, it might be to inspire, it might be to discover, it may be to assist or to help people to really make a difference in the lives of others, but not just for making a difference. I mean, a serial killer also makes a difference in the lives of others, but not the one that we appreciate. So it's to make a difference that really goes a long way. If I take that phrase, without purpose, you waste time. If I can, through whatever I do, any project that I take on, challenge people to stop wasting time. So if they read one of my poems or see one of a video on Instagram, if they just put the phone down after that and go and do something, I think that'll be great, because then you inspire purpose. Inspire people adding value to their lives and the lives of others. That's basically the purpose.
Do you think someone who lives a simple life, who basically is content with, let's say, getting up in the morning, making their coffee, chilling on their porch, relaxing, making something to eat, and then going to bed at night, if that person is content with that, do you think he lives an unfulfilled life because he didn't make an impact on anyone else in their lives?
See, that is, to me, it's something about self-perception and how you perceive your life and fulfillment. To some people, that may be the ultimate. But personally, I don't see such a person affecting negatively or positively anybody else in the universe.
Yeah, there's Switzerland.
So it's not it's not really a purposeful contribution. I would like a life to challenge others to start thinking and asking questions about how they live, why they live, what do they do, what they do, and maybe there's something more. If the moon was number one, then Mars or whatever, that's next. Or just turn it around in the deepest part of the ocean, that's next. And it doesn't have to be in the extremes, but just start living something beyond comfort zone. I think that's where life happens.
So that's your concept of having purpose, like being driven beyond your comfort zone, to challenge yourself as an individual and to be able to just make an impact.
Yeah.
And by that, you feel that is the base level. If you live by that principle, people will be happier?
Well, I think purpose has something to achieve. So I can live in
Yeah.
a lavish life and just jump off cliffs and swim and kayak and fish and whatever.
Yeah,
Even
be
though
Mr.
I do
Extreme.
not achieve anything, I have not attained purpose. So purpose is some deeper meaning, because I believe we've been created and we've been set here in a purpose. I would not say every person's life is predestined and your end choice is already selected. Go out and live a full life and impact people to actually smile and love and have, at the end of the day, feel, yes, this was amazing. Tomorrow I'm gonna add something like this in somebody else's life.
Yeah.
There's definitely, because you mentioned something earlier about community.
Yeah.
Community, I think, is something that's getting lost in society at an extremely fast pace, because everything is social, Netflix, Showmax, whatever, Disney, everything's there and everything draws you into your house. Crime pushes you into your house. Load shedding, all of this. But the moment we lose touch with community, is there still anything left? Then it's only us. And I think
Yeah.
community in writing, in your hobby, in whatever you do, in whatever you pursue, a group of people will just achieve so much more. Elon Musk is not working alone with Tesla. He didn't even start the idea. He's just taking it further.
Yeah.
Branson works with people. He creates a community. Even though it's business people, he creates that community. And guess what? In his life's mission, he adds purpose, provides purpose for others to belong somewhere. So definitely within community, there's something hidden in purpose that you will find. And if everybody moves or drives toward the same goal, we'll definitely achieve more and feel, well, we can also feel better about life, even though some days we'll be struggling.
Kind of like ants, right? They
Exactly.
all sense of community with a common purpose. Each one of them got their own function, and with each one of them with their own little function, but contributes to the same goal, same purpose,
Yes. Or,
to achieve
using
the
ants
same
for Anton the
things.
Man,
Yeah.
that analogy. And that
See
works.
what
I
I
haven't
did
thought
there?
about that in a while. But it's definitely one thing, community. I think without that, life will be pretty lonely. It's always fun. Life is funner with others.
Life is funner with others.
Doesn't it?
There's your T-shirt slogan right there.
With a nice little ant on it.
A little
Ant on the
ant.
man. Yeah. No, so yeah, no, the
Um,
whole purpose thing, I definitely see that. I want to write. I want to do more than just writing poems and writing. I started with screenplays. I want to see some of my work in production. I want to work with artists of other arts, not necessarily me. Like now I'm working with calligraphers, with painting artists, with sculptures or sculptors, to work with them and create exhibitions and experiences that would, yeah, challenge people in the way of thinking, in enjoying life. So that's a mission that I want to do. In the past year, I can say that really consumed my time, and I made that my purpose, to communicate hope, love, a message, freedom, just go out and get life. Get lifed. I mean, that might be another slogan. But yeah, so I can see that.
get lifed.
Get lifed. I mean, that's a good one. Has anyone ever thought about that?
That's like the opposite of get fucked. Just get lifed.
It's the complete opposite. And yeah, I'll wear the t-shirt that said "Get Life." I mean, just go out there and get it.
Just
And
go out there and get lifed.
get
You
life.
amazing
Get
human
wasted on
being.
life. There's wordplays and things we can have with it, but that
Yeah.
definitely drives or gives me a mission, gives me just something to pursue, and it's nice chasing something. Yeah, I
I
don't know
think
what's the
also
last thing you chased.
the last thing I chased,
Yeah,
um,
something you pursued, a song, something got stuck, or something wasn't written yet, or made into an image, into a video yet, or something.
so I have a weird relationship with creating stuff because I try everything. I try making music. I try writing poems. I try making a podcast.
It's happening. It's happening now.
And exactly, I try a lot of things. And, even though I might not be good at it, I just try it anyway. I've got little YouTube channel happening as well. And it's all just a bunch of nonsense. But I think the last time I actually chased something was when I competed as an athlete.
Yeah.
And that was the last time I actually tried to achieve and want to be the best, because I create for me and I put it out in the world, just to see what happens. I don't go out and tell people I'm a podcaster or I'm a musician or I'm a poet or anything. I just try these things because it makes me feel better, because I know I suffer with severe anxiety and depression and blah, blah, blah. I can have the list of everything that I struggle with in life. But instead of trying to project, oh, woe is me, into the world, I try to transform what I'm feeling into words or sound or visuals.
Yes.
And that community that we talked about, I projected out. Perhaps there's someone else that also feels similar to what I feel, or don't. Two people can view it. I don't care. But at least I want to try and create something, because that simple act of creating something makes me happy. As shitty as it may be, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just playing 2 chords on my guitar, and that's the only 2 chords I know, and I record it and I put it out. I don't care what people think. I like doing it at that current moment because I tried something new. I'm not chasing anything to become the next whatever musician or the next big Joe Rogan or the next big wordsmith. I just want to, whatever is happening to me on this little planet within my tiny little universe, I know what makes me happy, and that is being able to create. And I like sharing it, and I don't care who looks at it. But I'm pretty sure if I take it seriously, and I mean, you have taken the role of poetry very seriously, and I'm pretty sure you have a goal with regards to that. And I feel like I've lost that love of having a goal towards something I'm passionate about, and I feel like that is one thing that's lacking in my life.
Something to chase. But what excites you? I just had to think about what excites me and what is exciting about, and just keep on doing the thing that excites you. That's what I did. I've written so many stories and small things and nonsense without purpose. But the moment I realized, this can get into something and become a collaboration of so many other aspects of writing and artists and things, I just kept on pursuing it. And I think at the end of the day, the small snowball became a bigger ball, and now it's got momentum. And I'm going down a mountain. So, and I want to steer it. I don't know how you steer a snowball, but there's definitely purpose and actually projects that I've thought that I'll be doing, and I want to get involved in. And there's a couple lined up in the future. I don't have all the resources yet, but I think that the moment I thought, this is my project now, I'm going to pursue this. Like a poetry book. This year, there's a poetry book coming out, collaboration between many artists. There's nearly 40 in it now. And for a first poetry book, with having nearly 40 artists, a couple of them is internationally renowned artists. I'm amazed. About what's happening. So that's just already bigger than I know it can be or plan it would be. But yeah, it's going to be a good one. October's going to be a month of big things.
That's the beauty of that, and that's why I like creating and doing things. And it's something that's in your head that doesn't die with you in your head. You think about something, you try it, you put it out in the world, and it's there. It exists then. Because if you think about it, it doesn't exist. It's just a thought. Thoughts don't exist. Does that make sense? Thoughts, 100%. They are just thoughts, but they don't exist. They're not tangible. They're not physical things. It's kind of like how I always perceived as having a religion, being part of a religion. People can't say that religion doesn't exist because, I'm not religious myself, but I respect people who does have religions because I don't know enough about the universe and the world to say it's true or not true. So it's just basically like a thought, a religion. It exists. You can't say it doesn't exist because that person is clearly thinking about something. That person clearly believes in something. And from that thought to be able to go to a tangible thing, I don't want my thoughts to just be thoughts in my head that I can tell you, yes, Anton, I really want to make a clay figurine. But me telling
What a
you
thought.
it does exist now because no one
Yes.
can say that the idea doesn't exist, but the actual figurine doesn't exist right now. And what I love about what you're doing is you took things that's in your head and you're contemplating, you put effort towards it, and all of these things that you're thinking, you're making them tangible things. And I've got a lot of respect for that. And I've always, I guess the thing that I've always chased was what excites me is being able to think about something and being able to share it to people. That is probably the most exciting thing that I can do in my life. And I love what
That
you're
is
doing, and
amazing,
that's
man.
why I have you on the podcast right now, is because I remember you telling me when the first time we met, Carl, I want to start a podcast. And now you're like almost 20 episodes into your podcast. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I love that. And
Yeah.
I I filmed you read your poems in the park in front of my house, and now you're
Yes.
doing, poetry things, and you're getting
Yeah.
involved with poetry books and anthologies, and it's amazing to see. And I guess if you have to ask me what I believe purpose in life is being able to take the things that you are thinking about and being able to share them. That is beautiful for me.
One thing that came up that I kept on thinking about, do we have an answer yet for how vast the human mind is, how far it stretches? Do we have an idea what's inside the skull, all the neuron, everything that's happening in there? There's people are still discovering, and the thought exists in that gray matter universe, and it shows capability. And I love this way of thinking that you explained it, but the thought needs to come out. The thought needs to materialize, and I am the vessel for that. I am the one that will make it happen. Just speaking it already changes a lot of things inside this current universe that I'm finding myself. So it sounds a bit, there's a collision of universes in my mind and this one that I'm living in. And wherever that connects, that's where these thoughts, that's where they happen, where they materialize. That's where poetry, that's where the video, Parky poetry, man, we must do that again.
Yeah.
That's where it happens. And that's the moments now where you challenge yourself to things that's hidden from one universe, from your mind, into the next, and make it happen. Inspire life. Get lived. What
If you
did
have
we say?
to
Get lived.
get life,
Yeah,
if you have to
super not, man.
simplify creativity to someone, if you have to explain creativity to a 5-year-old, how would you basically voice that? Creativity as a whole.
Creativity, yes, man. That is a loaded question because creativity is to create anything. But I mean, the moment you give them a coloring book, a 5-year-old, you kill creativity because there's lines in it and you tell them stay between the lines. Um,
Like
and that's the
most
truth.
people in South Africa who can't park, they need to stay between the lines. But
Yeah,
anyway,
the
but yeah,
creative one will be, sorry?
no, go on, go on.
The creative one, if I have to explain it, I'm thinking to a 5-year-old is just giving a blank page and say, write whatever. Crumple it up, write it, color in all the sides or whatever, but just make anything more of this paper than it is right now. If you think about it in terms of driving, the creative guy is the one that gets off the road and into the veld. That's the creative
Uh,
driver. That's the explorer. That's the one that will have stories to tell. You'll just tell them about traffic, another traffic jam, an accident, and robots that didn't work. There's traffic lights. That's it. But they will have stories. So creativity would be physically express through something that somebody else can see or touch, something tangible of an emotion or a thought that you had. Show me
But
what
do
you
you
had.
think by upbringing, how you have been brought up as an individual, I mean, you're a dad, and how you've been brought up, the school system as it is, and the world as it is, do you think creativity is being killed by draw within the lines? This is how you do this. This is what you do. This is how you hold a guitar to play it. This is what you do when you meet people, Do you think, because like you say, the brain is an untapped,
Universe.
vessel,
Yes, exactly.
and we've been programmed for it to how the brain is supposed to work. And I feel like we haven't really unlocked it. I mean, the brain is an amazing thing. We talked about giving a tier, a scenario where our brain's going to go. I mean, you can take 3 little blocks and you can put it in a certain way and it can be like, oh, that reminds me of the Titanic, And it's just 3 little blocks that you put together, whatever the case may be. But I think what you're describing right now is creativity is basically you being able to tell your story through whatever medium is comfortable for you.
Exactly. And to get back to your question that I think you started off with, our school system, our upbringing is 100% guaranteed limiting creativity. That's already been, there's many studies of it. It's been scientifically proven. 100%. One of the ways to work against it, my kids can write may not write on walls, except in the ones in their room. That's where they can write. And the moment because remember, we're killing creativity because we want predictability, nah? We want controlled, predictable society. We live in a matrix. And creativity is that freedom, that world that exists beyond everything that's controlled, everything that is between 4 walls and predictable. So, because life is easier if there's lines on the road and everybody drive left. If there's no roads, just go ahead, drive, whatever. It becomes pretty unpredictable. Also fun, but you'll be late all the time. So everybody's killing creativity, and we have to find ways to just open it up. And therefore, writing, painting, doing something, I think an art form that you're not comfortable with, that will unlock the most creativity and just blow your mind about how people write. I've been discovering about writing the past year more than I've ever in my life, because it's the first time I'm really interested in it. And now I can just see my mind being limited by so much. And I'm just trying to, this past 2 days, I read a lot of Spookvol lyrics. And then a lot of it doesn't make sense. And then I think, well, I'm going to write things that doesn't make sense. Let's go with it. And it's amazing.
It makes sense to you, that's all that matters.
It makes sense to me, but now I want to write things that doesn't make sense. And it's only 10 or something lines and then I'm going to start make sense of this nonsense that I'm writing. But then I kill creativity. Then the wonder of what I'm writing disappears because I put this mind into it. And there's one guy, Surprise Setole, he keeps on telling everybody that he speaks to, he said, do not sit at the table of reasoning. And it applies to so many areas in my life or in anybody's life. The moment you sit and reason about anything, you'll sit, you won't move forward, you won't progress, you won't be creative. Just get off from the table of reasoning and go and be creative. Just go and do it. Just get lifed.
Just get lifed.
Just get lifed. I'm going to remember that today. Just get lifed.
Do you feel like, are you scared that you're going to pass on this planet and you haven't left anything behind? That you haven't griffled your name on this planet?
I would say yes, since the past year, 100%. And that's actually one of the 3 greatest fears of any person. I had a podcast on that. Is that they fear that they won't matter. the fear of not leaving the impact. So I've decided that I will 100% leave an impact through writing, but also collaborations in projects. So I have two first books in mind. None of them have seen an equal of that in the history of South African literature. So now there's pressure on the third one to also write something that has never been seen. Forms of it and aspects of it has definitely been seen, but in the context and extent of that hasn't been seen. So
that way you can keep pushing the boundaries and challenge yourself, like you said. Just keep breaking through the ceiling to the next level.
And I don't want to just challenge myself. I'm going to challenge others, like Bauer did with Lofi. He brought him from Cape Town to Joburg, and then taught him everything he knew. And then Bauer said, well, I realized he's going to get stuck if I just hold on to him and not show him to others. Just have him experience what others are doing, because this guy's got more talent than I can harness or just fathom. So, and that's what I want. I want to do that to the writing community or writing norms, challenge it, and I'm definitely going to push other people to beyond what I will ever be able to achieve. But I'm not scared of that. I'm going to do it, write something new, give them something fresh, and beyond that, we're going to see new things that people write, books that they're going to bring out. That's just going to be amazing. And then that again has to do with creativity, and we're going to see that with other art forms. So that's just something. Let's just boost creativity, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to leave a mark. I've set my mind on it with the people. I won't say that people always buy it. Look at Van Gogh. I mean, he died broke, miserable, but yet his art lives through today because people didn't understand it. So maybe when if you move ahead and do something new, there's definitely risk in it that people don't understand, but do it. Let's push the boundaries.
You don't know if people are going to experience it or enjoy it when you're not around anymore. So don't let just because it's not being seen by people right now, discourage you from doing what you love.
Exactly. Let's just do it. Be creative. Do the vastness that you can grasp hold of, and just let it be. Let's do that.
So, Anton, to wrap this podcast up, if you can leave your mark on this podcast and say absolutely anything that you want to say right now to absolutely anyone in the world, what would that be?
This is not something that I've thought of, and I end all my podcasts with the same thing. Or a lot of it I give them. But the first thing that came to mind was sit still and think about your childhood dreams. Write them down and go change it. Go live those dreams. I think that will leave you feeling the most alive that you've ever been ever. Somebody said also, it's not me, but they said you only have to please two people, the 7-year-old you and the 70-year-old you. You have to make that little boy or that little girl proud, and one day in your deathbed, just think back and leave that mark. So just go find those dreams of your childhood that you've maybe forgotten and chase it. Make sure that you definitely make plans and plan to achieve whatever you thought of them, whatever you wanted to be then or live there. Go do that.
I love that. You have to impress your 7-year-old self and your 70-year-old self.
Yeah.
That I love. That is probably like the coolest thing I've heard in a long time.
It's not my word. Somebody else already said it, so it's just a copy-paste. Whoever said it.
Okay, but still, I'm hearing it around my earballs for the first time, so I love it. Anton, thank you so much.
You.
Let it pluck to my cup.
Exactly. Get life.
Thank you very much for your time here on the Carlisle Club podcast. You can find Anton on Instagram, Mier Man. Also, he's got a podcast. AKA Griffel, don't forget about AKA Griffel.
There's two of them. The one is calligraphy works. I'm not doing the calligraphy work, but Mier Man, my wife does the graphics and I just write the words. She does the designs.
And you also have a podcast.
And I have a podcast, Mier op die Mic.
Mier op die Mic, where you can find these podcasts. And like I said, just in closing, I just wanted to thank you for your time and effort, and thank you for stopping by onto my podcast.
Thanks. It was amazing. Thanks, Mr. Carl. We'll meet each other again definitely this year. And we'll have another Parky Poetry.
Another Parky Poetry. Parky Poetry is the future. That is the future. Don't let people sleep on it.
Yeah.
But anyway, as long as you're happy and be inspired. Cheers.